the reason that an office still has an importance, and actually that a lot of companies these days are rethinking their offices, but also actually in some cases redoing their offices, is really that you need them. We knew this before the pandemic, obviously, but you need them as meeting places. It's not so much a place you need to go to get work done, because work can be done remotely, or can be done in some cases really from anywhere. But in order to get your work done cleverly, you need to be able to meet your colleagues and co-workers and engage with them. And that's the real point of an office these days. It's like a place of engagement. One key thing which has impacted the design of workplaces right now is this, that of course that you see that typically the number of fixed desks might be reduced in order to accommodate for workers using remote work or shifting places. So it's different ways of thinking about sort of the classical fixed workplace, but really at the same time, you expand the other areas, which are the non-defined areas, the ones that can be freely used and are available to accommodate these meeting places and random encounters and different kinds of inspirational spaces really that bring people together. So it's not always just a question of reducing, it can also be just shifting the allocation of space to something different. The office becomes more of a social space these days. So the meaningfulness of the office as a physical location really has to do with also providing a reason for people to come there. Because I mean, during the pandemic, it was like a razor. Companies found out, some knew ahead of that. I mean, I've been traveling a lot recent years and been working remotely for a long time in many ways. So it's not a new concept, the idea of working remotely. But I think what happened during the pandemic is that the companies found out who could exist on this platform and who couldn't. And obviously, all those who could exist on this platform still need actually to have a reason for people to meet. And so the office space or the physical office becomes a scene to really create the opportunity to meet, but also to create the reason for going there in the first place. And that's also why it's not always a question of reducing area and saving costs, because that would not be a place you would want to go anymore. And since you now learn that you don't need to, you might actually start having organizations where people never meet. And I don't think that's a desirable model, really. The desk is an ambiguous thing these days, because what's happened now, of course, is the desk used to be the standard. It's like that you had to provide a desk as an employer because this was expected of you. That's your workspace. The desk becomes sort of a personal space, but not really personal. And in a way, it became a model which really satisfied no one completely, but was there because it was the limit of our imagination. I think what happens now is that for some people, the desk will still be a brilliant solution. I'm personally don't mind my desk. I had the opportunity to go to work every day during the pandemic, and I used that because I really like actually getting out of the house and going to work and sitting at the desk, because it's a different space and it enables me physically to do things like sketching and just as a service, but it's also a place where I have sort of my tools of trade at hand. So in that way, for me as a physical place, that worked. But I think the key point is I'm trying to make is that it will become a personal choice. There's no point in setting up desks and saying now this is a workplace. A workplace can look any which way now. So the desk will only be there for those who actually appreciate it and like working at desks and can use it productively. That's the interesting thing which is happening right now in a lot of organizations, trying to figure out how do we handle this new freedom. How do we ask people this question? Because it can be tricky, actually, it becomes very personal. It's like, how do you prefer to work? Right? How do you live? All of a sudden, I mean, we've even had that in our organization, that people, as it turned out, didn't actually have adequate living quarters, not least in London. That was a problem. Some people didn't have a place they could work from home. They might not even have adequate heating at home. So actually coming into the office is a huge benefit, and that's the kind of thing you also have to think about, of course. And as I said, it becomes very personal. It's a new thing for organizations to talk about that as well.